The voicemail was 47 seconds long. I've listened to it 212 times. I know every word. I've never been able to figure out when I would have recorded it, because on Tuesday I was driving when it was sent, and the voice on the recording isn't driving. The voice is calm. That's the first thing that reaches you, if you listen the way I listen now. Past the words, past the content, and into the texture of the breathing underneath it all. Calm in a way that people sometimes are when they've already decided something. When the worst has already happened, and the only remaining question is one of duration. I should tell you what Tuesday looked like from the outside. I left work at 4:47 p.m. I know that because my access badge swipes out and the timestamp doesn't lie. I sat in stop-and-go traffic on the freeway for 38 minutes. My phone was in the cup holder, screen down, connected to the car's Bluetooth. The commute app shows the route. The cell towers show the pings. Everything about Tuesday is accounted for. Everything is documented and cross-referenced, and thoroughly, almost aggressively, ordinary. Except for the 47 seconds that apparently happened inside my own phone, from my own number to my own voicemail, while I was doing something else entirely. The first time I heard it, I assumed carrier error. These things happen. Some mangled packet from a dropped call resolves late, gets mislabeled, turns up as a ghost message from a number that happens to be yours. I looked it up. It's rare, but it's documented. I dismissed the notification. I went back to making dinner. I listened a second time after dinner because I'd cooked something I didn't mean to cook. Oregano, in something that had never called for oregano. My hands had just done it on their own while I was thinking about something else. I only tell you this because by the time the whole pattern became visible to me, I needed to know exactly when it had started. The second time I heard the voicemail, I got as far as my own voice saying the word hallway before I stopped the playback. I set the phone face down on the counter. I stood very still for a moment and listened to the refrigerator run. The word didn't frighten me, not exactly. It was the way the word was used. Not a hallway, not the hallway, just hallway. The way you'd say it about somewhere you already knew I was. By the third listen, I had a new theory. Prank. Someone had used one of those voice cloning applications. You feed in a few seconds of someone's audio, a voicemail they left, a video they're tagged in, a clip from anywhere at all, and the software assembles a passable replica. It requires a specific, sophisticated, and entirely pointless cruelty from someone in my life, but it was a theory with edges I could hold on to. A theory with a human being at the center of it. That theory lasted until the voice mentioned the mug. The ceramic one I use in the evenings, the one with the handle that's been chipped since March. A small divot on the inner curve where I dropped it against the faucet and caught it before it fell. A voice cloning prank would not know the mug. It would not know that I'd set it on the left side of the sink instead of the right, which I only do when I'm too tired to reach across. The recording described it: placement, orientation, the chip, the side of the sink. Calmly, in the same flat, unhurried tone it had used for everything else. So I moved to the last door I had. Dissociation. A sleep disorder. Some kind of fugue state. I'd read about people driving in their sleep, arriving at destinations with no memory of the journey. Maybe I'd pulled over. Maybe somewhere between the freeway and home I had parked on a side street, taken up my phone, and left myself a message for reasons my conscious mind couldn't reconstruct. People in certain states sometimes do things that look, from the outside, like deliberate acts, like they planned them. This explanation held for almost 2 days. It was the most comfortable of the three, because it implied a condition, and conditions have names, and names have specialists, and specialists have treatment plans. It put a category around the event. Categories are doors too, in their way. Then came listen 208. I had heard the recording so many times that individual words had started to blur, the way a word blurs when you repeat it too many times in a row and it stops looking like a word. And then, the way you sometimes hear a lyric you've misheard for years finally snap into its correct form. I heard a sentence, knew the end of the recording buried in the last 12 seconds, that I had somehow not registered across 207 previous plays. The voice says, "Don't look at the chair. There's no point in looking at the chair. It's been standing there since before you started listening. I want you to understand that there is a chair in my kitchen. It sits at a slight angle to the table, pulled out, never pushed back in, the way it ends up when I eat alone and don't bother straightening anything afterward. That chair was in my sightline when I was cooking the oregano. That chair was in my sightline on Tuesday evening when I first dismissed the voicemail notification and went back to stirring something I don't fully remember making. That chair is in my sightline right now, as I write this. And it is pulled out from the table. I don't remember pulling it out. I want to be careful here. I want to be precise, because precision is the only thing I have left. The recording was time-stamped Tuesday evening at 5:23 p.m. The chair description is in the recording. The chair is here tonight, Thursday, 4 days later, in the position the recording described. There are two ways to interpret that. Either the chair happens to be where the recording said it would be, coincidence, nothing more, the kind that makes you feel foolish afterward for having noticed it, or the recording wasn't describing Tuesday at all. The recording was describing tonight. I have walked through every door I could find. Carrier error, voice cloning, fugue state, sleep disorder, coincidence. Each one I've opened, stepped into, looked around in, and found no floor. They're all drop-away rooms. There are no more doors. The hallway ends here. The voicemail is 47 seconds long. I've listened to it 212 times, and I'm sitting here now with the 213th play cued on the screen in front of me. The progress bar held at the very beginning, the phone resting on the table beside the chip-handled mug. I haven't pressed play yet. The chair is behind me. I think I'm waiting to find out whether the recording tells me what happens when I finally do. You've been listening to The Glitchy Darkness. Nighty-night.